Hello, everybody. Welcome to Golden Shower Sunday Stream, September 25th, 2022. Happy fall. Today I'm joined by, of course, my co-host, Hexcelerate.
What up?
What up? And our guest today is Antony Sammeroff. Hi, Antony.
Hello, it's been a long time since we've spoken. How are you guys doing?
I'm good.
I'm great.
Excellent.
I was just thinking, right before we got on, but you were here, I think it was a year ago when you were here in Colorado, just about like September-ish.
It's amazing how fast time passes.
And how much is like change, just everything was so different. And then the last time you were here, I was busy and couldn't hang out as much. But that first time we hung out loud and we had a lot of fun. That piano in my house, you played that piano more than that piano's been played ever. That's good. You're so talented. You just sat down and bam. I don't think a lot of people know that about you because you don't.
Oh, they know I'm talented. They know I'm talented.
You know that. But yeah, Antony just would sit down and was like going hog wild on the piano. It's awesome. And I was saying, so me and Hex had probably done a couple live streams by this point, but I hadn't done much with my YouTube. And then when I was hanging out with Antony, he was like, hey, let me show you how to do this YouTube stuff and just kind of how to set it up. And so you were huge and helped me. We did a live stream together. And so thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I never even knew I had that much influence on you. I thought you were the influencer out of the three of us.
I influence certain things, but you're obviously very smart, so that an influence on me.
But I'm just like the puppet master behind the scenes. I'm not an influencer. I just influence the influencers. They are under the influence of Antony Sammeroff. That's what it is.
There you go.
Well, it's pretty powerful.
I know. Yeah. Good jubies.
So what have you been up to for the last, 6 months or so?
Well, 6 months. I guess my travels ended at the end of. I think I came back to Scotland around April the 1st. So I was I was away from home for 18 months. I'm assuming that people know something about me, which is like completely fucked up because they probably don't. It's just
you can introduce yourself more, and then you could talk about like the last 2 years, what you had going on.
So basically, I'm like a libertarian and a self-help guy, and I'm best known for having a week of the Tom Woods show dedicated to me, writing a book called Universal Basic Income For and Against, and debating at the Soho Forum in New York. If you've heard of none of those things, then I'm sorry, those are my best frame of reference for you. I'll just fly by the seat of my pants. I'm not like great at talking myself up, although I make a good show of it. Basically what happened was during the pandemic, I left Scotland because there was like 2 lockdowns. It was like, the 2 halves of a football game, soccer game. I don't know how many halves of a American football game there is.
You're from Glasgow. Someone's asking in the chat, right?
That's right. So when they opened up, I was dating a girl in the States, and I went after she visited me. I went to visit her, and then in order to even get into the States, you needed to be in Mexico for at least 2 weeks because apparently, you can't get COVID in Mexico, but you can get it in the UK. So I only planned to be away for 2 months, but they locked down again in Scotland. I was like, fuck that, I'm not going home. So then so I started traveling, going to all sorts of libertarian events. It was probably about over 3 visits over 5 months in Mexico, a few months in Costa Rica, but most of my time away, 18 months, was in the States. And then I found out that I was a little bit internet famous in America, so I could get myself on the bill at various things to speak, and I did that. And I just went around networking and meeting all the wonderful liberty-oriented people I could meet in America. And then at some point they dropped the vaccine necessity to get back into the UK and all the PCR tests and shit. And I was like, okay, it's probably about time I went home and gave my mum a hug after 18 months away. And the first 2 months back were horrendous But since then, it's been fucking awesome. So I'm enjoying being back now. Although I am speaking in America around the 8th of October at an event called Liberty Speaks in Maryland. So people should look that up and see if they can go to Maryland because it's going to be awesome.
That's coming up. You said October 8th or so?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So will that be your first time leaving there then since you've been there? Or have you traveled
Yeah,
around a
yeah.
little bit?
I couldn't even be bothered going to see friends in London. After you've been traveling for like 18 months, it's like, I just really needed to rest. It's only at this point I can actually feel like moving at all. Like I know some people manage to do it, but I was just like really, really slothful when I got back.
Understandable. I mean, I was traveling like that's a lot. And I know like guys, especially, it's easier for guys to travel and stuff like that. But I was like, it exhausted me how much you were traveling around. And
You're getting vicariously tired on my behalf.
well, you know me. You know me. I'm so like, I'm just too lazy and chill these
You're,
days. But
you're a little bit of a homebody, I guess.
mm-hmm. A lot of it. It got so bad during the pandemic, and then now I'm like, okay, I need to start doing more stuff. But then half the stuff I like to do, I don't want to support the people who did it because they had vaccine paper shit and all that. So it's like I don't want to support you anymore. But it's happening. I've been connected more with all the people out here, and then like I don't know if you saw, but last week I actually traveled to Ohio and met
Nice.
Hex. And then
Okay.
Paul, my producer, and his brother were there. And then on Thursday nights, I live streamed with a gal named Alice. So it was Alice and her husband Adam's vow renewal. So we all kind of met, and it was just fun. You know how like you met people through Twitter and stuff. It's just fun
Yeah.
to do that.
It's so great going to these events when you can because, like, I met so many people that I've only ever spoken to on the internet in real life. And almost all of my best, like my friend Stephanie calls them pocket people, her pocket friends, her pocket friends, people she only knows online. Like, almost all of my best online friends that live in America, I met almost all of them. Some people that I've been friends online with for 5, 7, 10 years. It was awesome.
That is cool. You got to do that. And then
Yeah.
after you met me, then when you went to an event, everyone's like, "Oh, you met Forrest, mommy."
That's true. Yeah, yeah. People were like, "Oh, I saw your pictures with Forest Mommy." I was like, I never. It's like I never knew you were so famous. Just went under the radar.
I'm
Like
like, this guy's written books and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, Forrest, mommy."
I like
Forrest
that.
one getting all the attention.
I liked yeah, I like the vicarious kudos I got from being seen with you.
And now, now I'm off Twitter again. Mostly, we may be coming back a little bit, but
You're always getting in trouble.
Yeah, we both got kicked off at the same time.
yeah, we
So,
don't even know this last time so they have something out for me and Hex is what I'm thinking.
You're just too hot and too cool.
Pretty
People can't.
much.
You're malfunctioning the whole internet.
Well, that's what I've told Hex too. It's kind of like when they've had people. So, like, I don't have connections to everything. I mean, all y'all have met me. Anthony saw my life out here, especially. It's like I have a small, simple life. I don't have connections to, you know, TV and all this stuff. But yeah, I was able to build this big audience just by being real and being me. So it's like maybe we had more reach than we thought, and they were like, "Oh, we can't have normal people having reach because that'll make normal people like rise up a little bit more." That's what I say. That's what I'm telling myself.
but then even
Yeah,
I
your ability to build reach is fucking impressive. I remember the first time you got nuked. As far as I knew, you might have. I don't know. You had something like 12, 14, 16,000 followers, and within a couple of months, you had 2,000 more than you had in the previous kid. It's fucking impressive. You're quite the inspiration.
Oh, thanks. Thanks. I don't
I
know
love
why, but people like it just because I'm
I love
real.
I love how you play with your hair when you say.
I know. No, it's been silly. But then it's like when me and Hex were texting, it just gets frustrating too, because it's like, what the hell did we so the first time I got banned, it was because of that picture in my profile, supposedly. And I was like, okay, that's really terrible. So I can't be on Twitter because of that. Like
Mm.
it's just so
Oh,
stupid.
did you show a nipple?
Yeah, it was like that artist. It was one I had in there for before they made that rule, and then they made that rule, and whatever. Like, if that's
Mhm.
really why it can't be on Twitter, then fucking fine. I don't care. So, but we might be coming back, as we said. So, what are you working on? Are you working on any projects right now, Anthony?
I'm working on I actually think it's the most important thing I've ever done. Um, it's very timely because it's about healthcare. So I went through a little bit of an existential crisis regarding COVID, as I'm sure many of us did, because it was like, what the fuck am I meant to be working on? Because like I think writing economic theory is like, so this is not the time for this. I mean, like, what am I doing? First of all, am I fucking arranging the trying to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic? It's like, first of all, like, you know, there's like emergency shit going on right now. And secondly, even if you do get this in front of people who disagree with you, which is notoriously hard to do because everyone likes to read stuff that agrees with them, um, people are notoriously ridiculously hard to change their opinions. So the great thing about this book is, yeah, it does cover like policy, like how you could fix the healthcare system, but it wouldn't be necessary to implement any systematic changes for people to like get a benefit out of reading the book, like see the world differently, improve their own health if they choose to, and like maybe just kind of like unplug from the official system. Um, it's got a funny name. So far, everyone's liked it, but for some reason, I'm a little bit embarrassed about it. It's called "None Dare Call It Quackery" because of the like double standard of how shit that's done in mainstream medicine, and I expose tons of this shit. If it was done anything outside alternative or mainstream medicine, people would say these people are quacks. They're fucking making tons of money while people get sicker. They're not really helping people. But the title comes from a old quote that goes, "Treason doth never prosper. What is the reason? For if it prosper, none dare call it treason." You know, if someone takes over the government, then it's not treasonous. They're just the fucking government, right? So the point is, if it's in mainstream medicine, it doesn't matter how ineffective it is, or if they've got studies that say this stuff is no better than a placebo, like spinal fusion therapy, for example, or tons of shit that they make shitloads of money from every year. No one calls it no one calls it quackery. Why? Because it's the mainstream system. And then they go, well, what do you call an alternative remedy that's been proven? Medicine? Well, I'd love it if it was true that anything was proven. It was called medicine, but you know they don't actually archive um, studies on nutrition-based treatments or herbs. So if herbal medicine is completely ineffective, you'd have to tell me why 50% of pharmaceuticals are actually just extracts of active ingredients from herbs, which they can patent. So stuff like that. It goes through like tons of shit. A lot of the amount, like 200 to 800 billion a year is spent on unnecessary tests in the USA. You know, enough to maybe solve world poverty, according to some economists. 800 billion, I don't know. Like, you know, on unnecessary tests. Why? You know, because hospitals are mandated to um, run a bunch of departments that are unprofitable. So they can make lots of money by sending people to radiology. They're fucking blasting people with radiation. If they get cancer in 20 years because they got too many CT scans and x-rays, no one knows that it's the CT scan that gave them cancer, but they are going to make $250,000 giving people chemo when they get cancer. So if drugs have side effects on people, they're not really side effects, they're the effects of the drug. You could say that drugs give people diseases, right? If you take drugs and your body needs to leach nutrients to then move the drugs out of your system, then they've just given you another disease. And then they get paid more money for treating your side effects with other drugs. So Yeah, and I just go through a whole ton of shit. Like both bad science in healthcare and bad economics in healthcare, and I suggest alternatives as well. But I think the main thing is, uh, like when it comes to trauma crisis care, if you break a bone, if you burn yourself, if you need reconstructive surgery, like the mainstream doctors are basically miracle workers when it comes to that shit. You can't use alternative medicine to fucking treat a contusion or something like that. So, but because but because surgery and things like that save lives, people think that that is ubiquitous in healthcare. People think that we're living longer and healthier because of pharmaceutical medicine, but it's not actually true. According to uh, this is all sourced in my book. I can't remember. One of the things I'm doing in my book is I'm using almost exclusively mainstream sources. So, like the National Institute of Health, the CDC, the FDA, the American Medical Association. I'm using all of their own sources. All of this shit is admitted if by mainstream sources if you look hard enough. So that's one of my ways of kind of going like, look, I'm not being hokey here. Look, if you just look at what they actually fucking say, they're telling themselves. Even though people live on average 30 years longer than they did 100 years ago, their own sources say 25 years of that is because we got indoor plumbing. You know, we got refrigerators. We don't drink water that's got. We got plumbing. We've got better sanitary conditions and better nutrition or better access to higher quality food. Even though, and also now health life expectancy is going down. The other 5 years, about 3.5 of it, they attribute to preventative medicine, and the other one, and only 1.5 years, the official sources put down to pharmaceuticals. So yeah, the idea that we're living longer, healthier, and happy lives because of mainstream medicine is highly dubious. Now life expectancy is going down. It has been going down since 2014, and they America's spending $4 trillion a year on healthcare. So maybe if all of that money wasn't going to mainstream medicine, and since 70% of disease is lifestyle related, according to official sources, it's probably more like 95% is lifestyle related. Maybe if they were spending, a quarter of that money on other stuff, they would have actually found cures to these diseases. So the American Medical Association says mainstream healthcare is the third leading cause of death after cancer and heart disease. But since the mainstream doctors has spent literally trillions of dollars on research of cancer and heart disease that they maybe could have, funneled into something else that wouldn't make them so much money, but might actually prevent cancer and heart disease, you could basically say that mainstream healthcare is the number one leading cause of death. So that's my elevator pitch for the book that's coming up. Not that elevator. It took me quite a while.
That's good. Did you listen? Do you know who Brigham Bueller was? He was just on Rogan because I know some of his. He was
No, I
a
don't.
guy. He used to do like pharma sales and all this stuff. So he saw the whole belly of the beast from and he explains it on there exactly how the system works and everything. And then so his big thing now is he's like, they run all these unnecessary tests, but there's like some certain, there's a handful of tests they don't regularly run, like testosterone levels or stuff like that. And he's found like so many people are having all these problems just from their hormones being off, but they don't want to fix that. They don't want to fix that because.
Yeah, there was Mary Rohr, who wrote the book Death by Regulation, has this whole bit on basically a vitamin B treatment that prevented birth defects in babies. And even when the CDC was recommending that pregnant women took this as a supplement, the FDA banned the manufacturers of the supplement from advertising it because they said this is like that it hasn't been through whatever. So they weren't even allowed to advertise on television saying this is scientifically proven to fucking prevent birth defects and the CDC is recommending it. They couldn't write on the inserts. They couldn't write that the CDC was recommending it on the inserts. It's fucked up. But they don't want people to use vitamin and mineral treatments because they can't make a killing from them.
Exactly.
Yep.
In a
Yeah,
sane, sorry,
oh, go ahead.
I've come to believe that the main causes of disease are one, basically all the fucking shit and toxins that we're taking in. There are air, water, mostly food. You know, they've got the what's it called that they spray everything with? Basically, the pesticides and herbicides destroy the. They say, oh, first of all, there's only one nervous system in the whole of nature. So if something's poisonous to a fly, it's fucking poisonous to you. They say, well, you're so big, you know, that it's not going to kill you the way that it's going to kill the pests. Well, the thing is, your microbiome isn't big. So when you're taking Roundup in through your food, it's killing off all the good bacteria in your digestive system, and then you can't digest your food properly. So one, you're getting toxic. The second thing is you're getting nutritional deficiencies because we need, you know, up to 60 trace minerals, 16 vitamins, 3 omegas, all of this shit. 16 amino acids. Sorry, I got the number of vitamins wrong. Can't remember the exact figures. You get the point. So we're not getting the nutrition we need, and we're full of like substances that we shouldn't be full of. And in a sane world, the first thing the doctor would do when he saw you was he was checking. Are you living in a house with mold in it? Are you, you know, being exposed to environmental toxins that you shouldn't? Can we get that shit? Have you got heavy metal poisoning? Do we need to collate you? Is there any reason we would have to detoxify you of things which might be harming you? And the second thing is there anything that should be in your body that isn't in your body that you would require to build healthy cells, right? And if so, how do we find out what you're missing? And then how can we address your nutritional deficiencies? So it's accumulating toxicity and nutritional deficiencies. Then once we make sure that there isn't anything in your body that shouldn't be in your body, and you aren't missing anything that should be in your body that isn't in your body, then we can maybe talk about if you're still sick, maybe we need to give you some pharmaceuticals or some other treatment. But start with the fucking basics, people. And it doesn't even enter their minds. It's crazy.
That's true. Yeah, and people will get prescribed something so simply where they won't even think maybe there's something I could change in my life, or like I know a lot of like with the mold in the houses. I know a lot of people, their kids and stuff, will have weird skin issues, and then you're like, well, yeah, your house is dirty or whatever. Or there could be mold. Like look into that before you just try to treat it. But people's minds don't go that way nowadays because of how everything is. So, can they advertise? Can Big Pharma advertise in Scotland?
No, the only countries where you're allowed direct to consumer advertising is America and New Zealand. And I write about this in the book as well. I've got a chapter called Pay No Attention to the Man Behind the Curtain, where I talk about all the money and where it goes. I naively thought the reason why all the ads in the evening in America are pharma ads, like 18 out of 24 are pharma ads. I thought they were just trying to sell drugs. And it's not that. What they're doing is they're buying favorable coverage, right? On all of the news channels, almost all of the ads are pharma ads. They pay more for ads than anyone else does. So that means the news is not going to report on every year. Sometimes there's 1,000 or more withdrawals of drugs. Because the dosage is wrong. It's not what it says in the bottle, or it proves to be dangerous. So there could be at least one report every week on mainstream media of a scandal in drugs, but you don't see them because they're buying off the news channels. They're buying off the news channels by paying the most for ads. So I've got a section on just about everything you can imagine. It's just like that. I think so. I'm really excited about it actually, and they've all got funny chapter titles, like the one on how like there's no competition, like no competition, and like the one on unnecessary tests is called like testing the limits. So it's like kind of like cute and quirky.
I like it. No, it's good to talk about that stuff because a lot of people don't even realize it. And even with all this COVID stuff, you thought people would wake up and because everyone was anti big pharma supposedly, and then they were like, "No, we're gonna do pharmaceutical fascism. That's cool. We're just gonna do that." Yeah, I don't know if you can read that comment. It says, "Do you think IRN BRU might be a helpful supplement?" Have you heard of that?
Only if you go on eBay and buy an enema kit and then fill the enema kit with iron brew and pump it into your ass, then it might kill off parasites and other things that you have in your anus.
Nice.
Plus, you get the added bonus of being able to shit orange for a day or two when you once you've finished conducting the enema, and also probably the bubbles fizzing in your butt will be quite enjoyable if you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're all into that kind of thing around here. It is a golden shower stream, so.
I was thinking of that actually when I was talking about how the two causes of disease are like primary causes of disease are like having something in your body that shouldn't be in it, but also not having something in your body that should be in it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you want to talk about because you've done fasts before. Do you want to talk about
Oh
that
yeah,
experience?
thank you for asking. Yeah, I mean, I guess part of my interest in this stuff, apart from the fact that I hate injustice and wasting money and fucking poisoning people and human suffering in general, is my own experience of comparing what I got from mainstream healthcare to things that are considered alternative. And don't get me wrong, and I say this in the book as well, I am sure that like 80% or 90% of alternative treatments are hokey as well. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fucking double standard, okay? The Skeptic Society and they never go after most of the really bad shit's happening in mainstream medicine. But all these supposed skeptics care to do is like go after fucking chiropractors and fucking I don't know aromatherapists and acupuncturists and whatever else they don't like. But I mean, let's get our priorities straight here. Most of the damage is being done to people in the mainstream system. So you can needle therapists after you attend to that. I am even before I fasted. I didn't know about fasting, but I used to have I don't know. For example, I used to have various symptoms. Used to have a lot of mucus come up um, from my nose. I would always be like swallowing because it would come up. I used to get blotches on my chest. It's a little bit embarrassing talking about this stuff. Um, and then this is maybe 15 years ago almost. I went to see an alternative health practitioner in the Isle of Wight at the southmost of England. And he actually had a PhD in the medical sciences before he went alternative. So he used to go around conferences in Europe exposing mainstream medicine shit. And he told me a lot of the people there hate me being there, but some of them I can tell really, really like it. But he went down the alternative way. And he basically said that all of my conditions were caused by my digestion. He gave me digestive enzymes, high strength probiotics, and something else. I can't remember. And oh yeah, sorry, I forgot. The blotching on my chest, for example, the doctor would give me cream for it, and as soon as stopped using the cream, it would come back. So that was less than useless. And when I asked the doctor why that happened, he was like, I don't know, poor luck. And then he went, poor care, as if like I was fucking doing something wrong to cause this. And now I understand why these things are like well, I guess. So anyway, right enough, when I took the stuff that this guy gave me, it cleared up everything. Um, because he gave me stuff to support my digestion. Now that I've got more information 15 years later, I realize he was kind of only kind of treating the symptom as well, not going fully systemic. Because the problem with now alternative medicine is a lot of them are going the same way as the mainstream doctors, which is they treat the symptom, they make the symptom go away, and then it can come back again. But maybe they're just using a herbal thing to do it instead of using a pharmaceutical. So the thing is, you can't get all of this knowledge very quickly. It's taken me quite a lot of years to learn it all, but hopefully I'll be able to distill some of it. So yeah, that was good. That definitely made me realize that doctors didn't know what they were talking about, because the doctor would never give you a holistic solution like, oh, you need to look after your digestive system better, because they don't look at the human as they look at a human like a bunch of truck parts. So if you've got a problem with your liver, they try and treat your liver. They don't think that maybe there's an unnecessary amount of strain on your liver because of stuff going on elsewhere. And if you treat that stuff, then everything gets better. As Charlotte Gerson said, you cannot heal selectively. If the body heals one thing, everything heals. So coming back to my thing on so one of the major reasons I've come to believe that people have problems with any of their organs is an excessive load of toxins in the body. And there's two, I put them in two categories. One is basically metabolic waste, which is your cells are constantly like breathing and shitting, taking in food and shitting just the same as you taking food and shit, right? So if your cells are creating waste faster than you're getting rid of it, that's like, the garbage truck comes once a week, but you've only got 2 garbage cans, and you're creating an extra bag of garbage every week. So after a few weeks, your garage starts to smell, right? Then you're not taking exercise, so the garbage truck only comes every 8 days. Then you're not breathing enough fresh air. You're always in the house, and there's no plants in the house, like during lockdown. So the garbage truck's only coming every 9 days. Then you're like eating lots of unhealthy food, so you're producing 2 extra bags of garbage a week, right? Over the years, the extracellular waste builds up in your body, and then you attract bacteria, fungus, molds. They start basically eating your body from the inside out, but they're not actually the disease. The doctors will think they're the disease, and they'll give you an antifungal or an antibiotic. What does antibiotic mean? Anti, against, bio, life. It's against life. It doesn't just kill bacteria. It kills all your good bacteria as well. So that's like, you've got a pile of dishes in the kitchen sink, and cockroaches are coming in from next door. The mainstream doctor will come in and spray all the cockroaches, but he leaves the dishes in the sink. So they're just going to come back again in a couple of days, but it's going to be the stronger, meaner cockroaches because you've not cleaned the dishes out the sink. So this is the benefit of something like fasting, or going on a juice fast, a juice cleanse. If you can't fast, then I did celery juice here, like incredible benefits from it. I'll get around to them. Like, because the thing is about fasting, you kind of need to take a vacation from life if you want to do a long-term fast. You can't, if you're going to fast for a long time, you can't be working and stuff like that because you're going to get low energy and things. But anyone can go on a solid food vacation and juice celery if they've got the willpower to do it. So now the garbage truck's coming every day. You're not putting in food in. You're not putting any food in that your body's going to create extracellular wastes, and you're also drinking tons of water. I've got a few podcasts on Be Yourself and Love It podcast about my experience fasting. One's called "What's the Best Thing You've Ever Done for Yourself?" and why is it fasting? So if you could pop that in the links, people would get a chance to hear what I experienced. When I went, sorry, I know I'm talking and talking and talking.
We
Do
like
you,
hearing you talk, though. It's nice.
is
You're
it cool?
exotic to us.
Okay, cool. Because I don't want to domineer the conversation, but with any of these things, there's no shortcut to getting the knowledge. So I kind of have to be a little bit long-winded, um, because I don't like giving people like a very cosmetic understanding of the issue. Like I'd like people to feel like they really get it. So that's why I'm a little bit long-winded. So again, coming back to conditions that mainstream doctors cannot reverse, that I've reversed. I used to have a very unsightly blotching on my feet, right? And I went to the doc, years ago, and he said, well, I can give you something antifungal for that, but it'll probably take 2 to 3 months before it clears up, and it will just come back as soon as you stop taking it. With the mainstream medical understanding, why would you get this blotching on your feet? It's just bad luck, right? Oh shit. People just, I guess, there's no such thing as cause and effect. People just randomly get diseases. But if you actually understand the principles of detoxification, you'd understand why this would happen. Basically, you've got garbage in your body that's food for mold or fungus, right? And your body's not stupid. It doesn't want you to keep that garbage in in your torso where your essential organs are, like your stomach, your liver, your kidneys, your gallbladder, your bladder. So what the body's going to do is it's going to push the toxins to the extremes of the body, like your toes, where they're not going to harm your vital organs. What's more, it's hard for your blood to get into your toes. It's far away from your toes are far away from your heart. So things like massaging the toes will push the toxins into the bloodstream and help them clear out if you've got a condition like this. But the fucking mainstream doctors are never going to fucking recommend you give yourself a daily foot massage, right? Yeah, okay. There's other things that you can do, like soak the feet in water with castor oil, or uh, there's turpentine and stuff like that. Uh, but I'm not an expert on using those sort of methods, so I don't really like to. People would have to go and like look up Dr. Andrew Kaufman and other people if they want to learn about that kind of stuff. I just did it systemically by fasting, by a combination of fasting and juicing, and sometimes even just like eating fruit and salad for a couple of weeks, which takes a little bit of willpower, which is why it's easier to do these kinds of things on a retreat while you're being supervised. Because I find it there's a lot of temptations at home. So yeah, basically it worked. It worked. I can show people before and after pictures of my feet. Like it's like it continued to clear up, especially when I got back to. I cleared most of it up on these long. I fasted for 3 weeks twice, drinking only water. Pretty hardcore. I found that it continued to clear up when I came home and I started juicing celery every day. I experimented quite a lot with one of these blenders like the NutriBullet, and putting vegetables in there with water and like a high quality mineral supplement and stuff like that. But my benefits from that, I would say, were not, because a lot of people say you shouldn't just juice vegetables because you don't get the fiber. So I kind of experimented with both. Personally, I found like just juicing celery and like removing fiber, just 2 packets a day in the morning, like incredible. Like I was like very lactose intolerant and like gluten intolerant before, whereas now, like if I juice celery regularly in the morning, I can get away with having some like wheat products. I can get away with having some dairy products. Whereas they used to cause me eczema, if I indulged at all. Juicing celeries like cleared me up of that. I've got like a buffer now, so I can indulge a little bit. I'm eczema free. I used to have eczema behind my legs, so I know from fucking first-hand experience that this shit works. So it's shameful. It's fucking shameful that Americans are spending $4 trillion a year on healthcare when, you know, a lot of shit could just be cleared up by putting some celery in a juicer. It's crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, when you were here, I remember you were making all sorts of crazy smoothies. You were throwing
Yeah.
everything in.
Yeah, I was trying a bit of stuff. I kind of see myself as like my life as a laboratory where I try shit out and I see what works, and then if it works, I kind of recommend it to other people. It's kind of like Be Yourself and Love It podcast. My podcast is like all self-help stuff, and it's usually things that I found useful in my own life that I think might be useful to others.
Like how to do small talk. That's one of your like.
Yeah.
That's.
I did an 18 or something like that, 18 podcast series. And most of them are like 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes long max. So people could like pretty much binge on those in a few hours. The series called How to Make Small Talk. I was really proud of that as well. The people who listened to it said they found it really useful.
Well, it's what a lot of people need. Sometimes it's just like, oh, they're so overthinking in their head, and you're like, listen, look, this. It's like this. It's not.
Yeah, and I always try to be really practical because I hate the trend in self-help, which is like lots and lots of philosophizing. And it's like, I'm just like, can you just fucking get to the practical application, please? So almost all of those videos, well, they're on YouTube, but then I took them and put them up on the podcast. All of those podcasts have like an exercise in them or something that you could actually apply or try out in real life situations to get better results than if you're like there's stuff like how to reignite a conversation if there's a silence, how to make it easier for the other person that you're listening to, sorry, you're speaking to like riff off what you're saying, how to throw them over stuff to make it easier for them to talk. There's stuff about how to be a good listener. I've not done much of that on this podcast, but how to you know make someone else feel heard, how to prompt them, um, yeah, all stuff like that. How to ask more interesting questions so that you don't get stuck in this like interview conversation, which is like, so what do you do? How did you get into that? How long? Oh, interesting. How long have you been there? And people like don't actually feel like they're really meeting each other when you get into those kind of polite conversations. So it's got a bunch of tips and tricks.
I was kind of switch the conversation. What's the politics and COVID stuff like in Scotland right now? Is it all over there? Are they?
Yeah, it's pretty much all over. It's really fucking weird because the Scottish people were such a bunch of pussies and really took the COVID dick pretty hard up the A. But yeah, as soon as they were told they could do what they want, you hardly see anyone masked, which is pretty cool. Every now and then you do. So yeah,
I'm
it's
seeing a lot out here. I still see a
hard.
lot out here, even in Colorado.
Yeah, here in Cleveland, Ohio, I see a lot of people wearing masks still, and it's just bizarre.
It's sad because it's like, well, now all these people want to just move on. This is my thing right now. I'm like, we're not just moving on from what y'all did for 2 years to people. It's like they want to just be like, oh, we just did what we were told, and now we're gonna move on. I'm like, no, can't just move on from that. You were literally saying people should be like barred from society or traveling and all this. You can't just move on from that.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. I know. It's like they got away with murder.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and everything we're finding out, and like you even I even brought up something on my Instagram about. I said something about Fauci because I know a lot of the doctors, everyone's can be bought up and stuff, but I give a benefit of a doubt to a lot of the healthcare workers. Not that I think it was right, but they were protecting their jobs, their licenses, and they were just doing what they were told. So I posted something about Fauci, and like these people who are they were friends. I thought they were still around after this 2 years, and they were attacking me. She's like, well, we didn't know what to do, and blah. And then of course this one doctor guy was like, you need to believe the science, and I'm like, we're still there. We're still there.
I mean, at least someone could say it in a fucking original way. You need to believe this. Well, show me the science, fucker. Show me the fucking science. Show me the studies that they did on lockdowns before rolling them out. Oh, wait, there weren't any, right? What the fuck?
Yeah, and he's a doctor too. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I know who you're like, who's, helping your bottom line, because that's all a lot of these doctors are.
First of all, doctors don't have the time to read studies. Secondly, reading a study is a specialized skill. Most doctors don't have the skill to read studies and see if they're bad science. Thirdly, doctors shouldn't have to read studies because our institutions should be robust enough to give them good information so that the doctors can actually trust the science. The problem is you can't fucking trust the science. The editors of both the Lancet and one other really prominent journal left in disgust because they said that 70% of the articles in their journals were just trash that was sold to them by pharmaceutical companies in order to sell drugs. There's so little of what is prescribed as medicine has actually been through double-blind studies and things like that. I've got tons and tons and tons of facts and quotes about how much science in mainstream medicine is bad in the upcoming book, because I really, 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 really wanted to hammer this point home. But look, let's just take the COVID thing. The National Institute of Health have now put on their own fucking website that ivermectin is an effective treatment for COVID. After 2 years of them fucking ridiculing people and literally banning people from social media for advocating ivermectin, the National Institute of Health have admitted that it's a COVID treatment. Secondly, what is the fucking deal with Antony Fauci going on TV and saying, I never recommended lockdowns? How is it possible that their career can sustain a lie like that in an age where everyone's got access to videos of him literally advocating lockdowns? It's like the sun didn't come out this morning. I remember like 15 years ago or something like that, someone put out a video on YouTube where they took the clip of Dick Cheney saying, I never said there were weapons of mass destruction. And the newscaster saying, yes, you did. You said you know where they were. You said they were in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad. Dick Cheney went, I never said that. I never said that. And someone put that back to back with a video of him going, we know they've got weapons of mass destruction. We know where they are. They're in the area around Tikrit and Baghdad. Unfortunately, it's been taken down from YouTube now. But it's like, how the fuck do people's careers withstand these kind of lies? It's fucking ridiculous.
I think a big problem is I'd say collective attention spans of people. People have collectively the attention span of a freaking goldfish.
Mm-hmm.
So, I did see that Fauci clip where he goes, I never said that we should do lockdowns. And then right after it, it's another clip of him saying, him advocating for lockdowns. And it's people just seem to forget these things. And it's weird. It sucks really, because if people could remember these things long enough to hold these people accountable, then we arguably wouldn't be in this mess. But here we are. And what do you do?
Yeah, this is a problem. The people don't have the power, much unlike Patti Smith's song. Although I think if she'd sung a song called "People Don't Have the Power," it wouldn't have been as epic a protest song.
Well, just it's so sad too. During the whole 2 years, Rand Paul and Massey were like, like grilling Fauci. But what I mean, if even the most powerful congressional hearings don't make a change, because they should have fired the dude right there. I would think that's what these you know, that's what you're supposed to do. You're finding out this dude's lying about the funding of the, you know, the lab and all. Like he literally was called out for lying about everything, and nothing happened. Like nothing came of it.
There's no accountability. It's interesting because when you look at that fucking book, The Real Anthony Fauci, it was like a bestseller, but Amazon was like suppressing the sales figures, and like or I don't know how complicit Amazon was actually. I don't like to misspeak and put out wrong facts, so fact check me on that one. But what I do know is none of the mainstream papers put it on their bestsellers list, even though it was selling more copies than anything else. It's ridiculous. So they own the institutions, but you have to understand. One has to understand what's again, right? In economics, we talk about something called concentrated benefits and diffuse costs. So someone might ask, why the hell is the US government subsidizing sugar and tobacco when these are products that harm people's health? Well, you know, if you're the tobacco industry, let's say you're getting 300 milli a year from the government, but every person in America is only paying $1 each on average to pay for your subsidy. So no one has the incentive to go, fuck this, let's get rid of these tobacco subsidies. But if someone does come along and say we should get rid of them, the tobacco industry's got $300 million a year of incentive to lobby and fight that. So that they're getting a concentrated benefit, which they're willing to fight to defend. And the costs are so diffuse that no one really has the incentive to fight it. But obviously, if you put that against every special interest group that's getting a handout from the government, all of them have concentrated benefits and all of the costs are diffuse. So that's why, you know, basically we're being like milked so by all these industries. So when you look at the medical industry, it's $4 trillion a year now Americans are spending on healthcare, if you can call it healthcare. Really, it's sick care. They're doctoring is not healthcare. It's so, but that is so much money that they're buying everything, right? The university system is like all the textbooks are written by pharma. They will get academics and they will pay them to put their name to studies that those academics didn't conduct. They're just paying them to be a ghostwriter. If you're a doctor that is willing to prescribe a lot of medications, they can send you to speaker training. The drug reps will come and they'll send you to speaker training, and you get to go across the world going across America, getting 4 figures for each speaking engagement to speak in front of a bunch of doctors at a continuing medical education seminar, which doctors are obliged to attend continuing medical education every year, right? So you go and speak to them about, I don't know, knee pain, and you're basically there to sell Celebrex, right? It's other doctors. But not only that, I mean, the doctors they're obliged to attend some of these conferences. They're getting paid to go to a fancy hotel by the drug reps.
And stripper buses. I'll send you this. You gotta listen to that Joe Rogan interview because he talks all about it, like all the stuff they did with doctors, and that was kickbacks. It was illegal kickbacks.
Yeah, and tons of it is legal. Tons of it is legal as well.
Right.
So the thing is, if you're a doctor and you're or whatever, you're working fucking 60 hours a week and shit, you went 6 figures into debt twice, if not 3 times, to get your degree. You did this residency that's like a fucking military boot camp, where you got no sleep and you had to fucking skip meals and showers just to do everything that you had to do during your residency. And someone says, oh, come to this educational event. You're thinking, well, I'm not fucking stupid. I know that this is paid for the drug company, by the drug company. I'm not an idiot. It's not going to make me, it's not going to manipulate, they're not going to manipulate me. And why shouldn't I go for a nice weekend at the spa with my wife? You know, I work really hard. I deserve this. I'm saving lives, right? You don't think you're being influenced by the drug companies, but there's a ton of studies that show consistently doctors prescribe more of the drugs that they're recommended at these events after attending them. And when it comes to bad science and medicine, you know, whoever fucking funds the study, when they do comparative studies of one drug against another drug, whoever funds the study, their drug comes up on top. Always. They can manipulate it. They can give more of their drug and less of the other person's drug to make it look like theirs is more effective than the other person's and shit. People won't even spot it. People won't even spot the dodgy methodology. It happens constantly. It's shocking.
That's all fucked up. Well, we're coming on an hour. Have you been working on any music projects or anything?
Yeah, no, I've not been doing anything like that. I just play a little bit at home. I got a new guitar the moment I got home, and that was pretty cool, rocking out some riffs because I'm used to playing an acoustic, so that's been a little bit of fun.
Oh, you got an electric guitar?
Oh, yeah.
You're badass.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I have like 3 of them right behind me.
Yeah, you do love your guitars. I saw you brandishing that one when I came on the line.
Do you have any final thoughts you want to throw out there? I guess when you think your book will come out and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was trying to work on a pre-release edition really hard so that I could get it out for this thing in Maryland. But even though I was like taking out tons of content and rushing it, I don't think it's going to be done yet. But I will be doing the rounds when it is done, trying to promote it because I think people will really love it. I really do. It's fun. I mean, it's informative, but it's also kind of like it's got a cheeky style to it as well. It's very conversational. It's not going to hurt your brain to read. And I think people really will go, oh shit, like other people, like when they read it, they'll be like, I need to give copies of this book to other people. I really do. So check out Be Yourself and Love It podcast, people. Like go through the archive, just go through the list of topics and see if there's anything that catches your attention and have a little listen. Because as much as I love to talk about politics and how fucked the world is, it's really what we can apply in our own lives that makes a big difference. We change the world by changing ourselves. So that's why I love doing it, because I think it facilitates that.
Oh, that's very nice. That's a nice spot to leave it on.
Thanks for letting me basically talk at you guys for an hour.
It's all good.
Anytime, you're welcome back on anytime to also talk for an hour straight.
Okay, I hope that doesn't get you nuked on YouTube because we exposed Big Pharma.
We'll find out. Robbie just got another strike on one of his channels, and it's like
get fact checked. At least we didn't mention the thing that we're not allowed to say on YouTube.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You want me to say that? Oh, there's the kitty. Hex just got a kitty.
Oh.
She's so cute. Hex, you want to plug it? I mean, all our links are in the thing, but I don't know if you wanted to plug anything else, Hex, because
no, yeah. All our links are in the description. My SoundCloud, Bandcamp, Instagram, YouTube, and whatever else, all down there. Shout out to producer Paul for getting all that set up.
Thanks so much, producer Paul. It's amazing.
Go ahead.
It's amazing that name, producer Paul, and he just happens to be a producer, and it alliterates as well. Crazy.
And he's like wants to help me out, and like we're all gonna help each other out and build out the Forest Mommy universe, and I'm excited. So.
Thanks so much. Me.
Yeah, anytime. Hex and I may or may not be sneaking back onto a certain social media thing. We'll let everyone know. Probably more and more as time.
That has to do with birds.
Oh yeah, something to do with birds. All right, thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks Anthony. Thanks Hex. Thanks Paul. And I think we're good.
We're sneaking back on the Truth Social.
Awesome.